due to COVID-19, all schools, colleges and universities are temporarily closed. To overcome this situation, teachers, instead of teaching in classrooms, now they are taking online classes. Means every situation we have to adapt, according to that we have to change. Then only we can move on. Similarly in plants also, if you see this slide, in this slide you can see the 3 different type of plants which are growing in 3 different environmental conditions. In first picture you can see the hydrophytes which are living in water. In second picture you can see xerophytes which are living in desert areas. And in third picture these are mesophytes which are growing in normal environmental conditions. Means when plants are growing in different environmental conditions, they have to adapt that conditions, then only they can survive, otherwise they are going to be extinct. So for that adaptation, plant internal structure, particularly plant tissues are play very important role. So today our topic is plant tissues and its function. Okay, tell me, what is the meaning of a tissue? Tissue means group of cells, they have similar structure and size and they are from common origin and perform same fundamental function. Those cells together we are calling as a tissue. In plants, there are 2 types of tissues are there based on cell division capacity. First one is meristematic tissue. This meristematic tissue is developed from the embryonic tissue, and in this tissue cells are showing cell division capacity throughout their lifetime. Coming to the permanent tissue, these tissues are developed from the meristematic tissue by the process of differentiation, and these tissues they lost their cell division capacity either temporarily or permanently. Coming to the meristematic tissue, presence of this meristematic tissue is one of the important character of the plants. That's why plants are showing unlimited growth, whereas animals are showing limited growth. Then how we are going to identify this meristematic tissue in plants? Means based on cytological characters. Let us see the cytological characters of the meristematic tissue. In this slide you can see the meristematic tissue cells are arranged compactly without any intercellular spaces, and they have very thin cell wall which is made up of cellulose, and they contain dense protoplasm with prominent nucleus. Based on this character we can easily identify meristematic tissue from the other tissue. Okay, and when plants are growing, this meristematic tissue is restricted to certain places. For example, if you take apical meristem. Apical meristem means it is present apical portions of the plant. Either it may be shoot apex or root apex, and it promotes linear growth. Coming to the intercalary meristem, it is present internodes regions of the plant, and it is present in stems of monocot and stem of equisetum and gynophore of Arachis hypoecea, and common name is groundnut. Did you observe any time in groundnut flowers are formed outside but fruits formation will take place underground? What is the reason behind that? Let me explain. In groundnut, the stalk of the gynoecium we are calling as gynophore. The stalk of the gynoecium contain intercalary meristem. After fertilization, what happened? Due to the presence of this intercalary meristem, this gynophore will increase in its length. So with this what happened? Gynoecium penetrate into the soil and fruit formation will take place underground. This is the reason fruits are formed underground in groundnut. Next, coming to the lateral meristem. Lateral meristem means it is present lateral portion of the plant. It promotes lateral growth, means it increases the diameter of the plant. And this meristematic tissue is not only important for plant growth and development, we can also produce virus free plants from this tissue. For example, if you take any viral disease called as tobacco mosaic virus or papaya leaf curl disease, in that what happen, entire plant body is affected except apical regions of the plant. As we know that apical regions of the plant contain meristematic tissue. So, from that region we can produce virus free plants. This is one of the important application of the meristematic tissue. And the next tissue is permanent tissue. As I told that permanent, in this tissue cells they lost their cell division capacity either temporarily or permanently. Temporarily means in this tissue cells regain their cell division capacity based on their necessity. Okay. And this permanent tissue is showing variation in size, structure and mode of development. Based on this character, again permanent tissue is divided into two types. First one is simple tissue and another one is complex tissue. Simple tissue means in this tissue cells are from same origin and perform same fundamental function. Those cells together we are calling as simple tissue. Coming to the complex tissue, in this tissue cells are from different origin but perform same fundamental function. Those cells together we are calling as complex tissue. Coming to the simple tissue, based on cell wall material, again this simple tissue is divided into three types. First one is parenchyma, second one collenchyma and last sclerenchyma. First I will explain about this parenchyma. It is a major tissue which is present in plant and it performs different type of physiological functions like photosynthesis, respiration and assimilation. And in this tissue cell wall is made up of cellulose. Even though it is a permanent tissue but matured parenchyma cells, they are showing cell division capacity. And these parenchyma cells are using as explant in plant tissue culture method because these cells have ability to transform into a complete plant. And if any wound occur in plant, that wound is healed by this parenchyma tissue. In phylogenetic point of view, this parenchyma tissue is considering as a primitive tissue. Why it is considering as a primitive tissue? Means if you take any primitive member like algae, in that the plant body we are calling as thallus. The entire thallus is made up of parenchyma only. So, this parenchyma is present from algae to angiosperms. So, that is the reason this parenchyma tissue is considering as a primitive tissue. And this parenchyma it perform different type of functions. So, based on its functions, again parenchyma is divided into different types. Let us see the types of parenchyma based on their function. First one is chlorenchyma. Chlorenchyma means parenchyma cells which contain chloroplast. That parenchyma cells we are calling as chlorenchyma. In this slide, in first picture you can see the chlorenchyma. Below the epidermis, you can clearly see the palisade and spongy tissue. And this palisade and spongy tissue, they are abundant in they contain abundant chloroplast and participating in photosynthesis. Next, coming to the aerenchyma. In aerenchyma, what happened? Cells are loosely arranged. So, with that what happened? Intercellular spaces are present and that intercellular spaces they are filled with air. With that help of that air only, plants can easily float on water. And this aerenchyma is present in hydrophytes and the plants which are growing in moisture areas. In this picture, you can see the large intercellular spaces. And the next one is storage parenchyma. Storage parenchyma means what? Parenchyma which stores different type of food material. That parenchyma we are calling as storage parenchyma. If you take potato, in that what happened? Parenchyma cell stores different type of food materials. For example, in potato tissue, parenchyma tissue stores carbohydrates, sugars, lipids, fats, so in the form of semi-solid or liquid manner. If you take cotyledons of groundnut or castor seed, in that what happened? Parenchyma cell stores fats and oils. And if you take soya beans, we all know that soya bean seeds are a rich source of protein. In that cases, parenchyma cells stores protein. Means based on plant species, this parenchyma cell stores different type of food materials. In this picture you can see that these parenchyma cells, they are fully loaded with starch granules. Next, coming to the idioblast. Before explaining this idioblast, I want to tell two metabolites which are present in plants. Okay, the first metabolites are primary metabolites. Primary metabolites means carbohydrates, sugars, fats, oils, proteins, all are comes under primary metabolites, which are very important for plant growth and development. Coming to the secondary metabolites like alkaloids, flavonoids, saponins, coumarins, calcium oxalate crystals, calcium carbonates, all are comes under secondary metabolites, which are very important for plants to overcome biotic and abiotic stresses. Okay, and these secondary metabolites have lot of economic importance value, because these secondary metabolites are using in preparation of drugs, insecticides, flavors, and also these secondary metabolites are using in preparation of dyes. For example, if you take Cinchona officinalis, that from that bark we are preparing anti-malarial drug, because it contains chloroquine and quinol alkaloids. In this situation, we must talk about these drugs, because these drugs are using in COVID-19 treatment. Like that, another medicinal plant called as Centella asiatica. It contains more amount of triterpenoids and saponins. So, these plant leaves are using in preparation of Chyawanprash, which increase memory power and immunity. Like that, secondary metabolites have lot of importance. Coming to the idioblast, the parenchyma cells which stores these secondary metabolites, that cells we are calling as idioblast. In this picture you can see in this idioblast cells, they store calcium oxalate crystals. That's why they are shading under microscope. Okay, and the next tissue is collenchyma. Collenchyma is also called as sterome, and this collenchyma provide mechanical strength and flexibility to the plant. Due to the presence of collenchyma only, plants can easily stretch according to its needs. Okay, and this collenchyma is absent in monocot members. So that's why when you are going to bend any monocot member like bamboo or sugarcane, they are going to be broken. Why? Because collenchyma is absent, so that's why they are not showing any flexibility. And collenchyma cell wall is made up of cellulose, and pectin is deposited on that cell wall. This is the major difference between parenchyma and collenchyma. Based on pectin deposition, collenchyma is divided into different types. First one is angular collenchyma. In angular collenchyma, what happened? Pectin is deposited on the corners or angles of the cells. That's why it is calling as angular collenchyma. It is present in beetroot, cucurbits and tobacco. Next, coming to the lamellar collenchyma. In lamellar collenchyma, what happened? Pectin is deposited on the tangential walls. So, in this picture you can see outer and inner tangential walls, they are looking very thick. Okay, and this is called as lamellar collenchyma, and it is present in rhamnus and cochlearia. Next, coming to the lacunar collenchyma. Lacunar collenchyma, what happened? In this cells they are loosely arranged. With that, intercellular spaces are formed, and pectin is deposited on the cell walls which are near to that intercellular spaces. This is lacunar collenchyma, and the example of this lacunar collenchyma is petiole of Dahlia pinnata. It is a ornamental plant, and most of the Asteraceae members, they contain lacunar collenchyma. Okay, and the next tissue is sclerenchyma. It is a dead tissue in plant, and it provides mechanical strength to the plant. Okay, and this sclerenchyma is contains secondary cell wall which is made up of lignin. And this is a major difference, because this secondary cell wall is absent in parenchyma and collenchyma, and this sclerenchyma showing variation in size, structure and mode of development. Based on these characters, again this sclerenchyma is divided into sclerites and fibers. First, I will explain sclerites. Sclerites are present in all parts of the plant, especially in soft parts. These sclerites, they may be present in isolated form or cluster form. Okay, and these sclerites are showing variation in size, structure and the shape and the cell wall thickening. Based on these character, these sclerites are divided into different types. First one is osteosclerites. Osteosclerites means these sclerites are there like bone shape. These sclerites are there like bone shape. Okay. And these osteosclerites are there very hard in nature, and these are present in seed coat of peas. So when you are eating peas, you can feel that hardness. Next, coming to the trichosclerites. Trichosclerites means they look like as a trichome. These are called as trichosclerites. These are present in petiole of nymphia. Next, coming to the filiform sclerites. Filiform sclerites means they appear like as a thread-like structure, and these filiform sclerites are present in aerial roots of Monstera. Okay. Next, coming to the brachysclerites. In this slide, you can see the brachysclerites. They are in cluster form with a thick cell wall, and these brachysclerites are present in fruits of sapota and custard apple. Next one is macrosclerites. These macrosclerites are very elongated in structure. These macrosclerites are also called as Malpighian cells, and these are present in seed coat of Fabaceae members. So that's why if you take any Fabaceae member seeds like red gram or Bengal gram, the seed coat is very hard. Why? Because presence of macrosclerites only. Okay. Next one is fiber. In this slide, you can see the structure of the fiber. Compared to the sclerites, the fibers are very elongated with the tapering ends. They contain very thick cell wall, and these fibers provide mechanical strength to the plant. And due to the presence of these fibers only, the plant can withstand against force like compression and breakage. And these fibers not only important for plants, these fibers have lot of economic importance value. Let us see the economic importance of the fibers. In this slide, you can see the different type of fibers which are obtained from the different type of plant species. First one is flax fibers. These flax fibers are obtained from Linum usitatissimum. These fibers are using in linen clothes preparation. Next one is jute fibers. These jute fibers are extracted from Carchorus capsularis. Okay, and these jute fibers are using in preparation of jute bags. Nowadays, there are different type of jute bags are available in market. Instead of using polythene bags, if you use these jute bags, these are very eco-friendly. Next, coming to the rami fibers. These are longest fibers, approximately 55 centimeter long, and these fibers comes from Boehmeria nivea, and these fibers are also using in preparation of clothes. And the last fibers are Manila hemp fibers, which are extracted from Musa textilis, and these fibers are using in textile industry. That's why these fibers we are calling as Musa textilis. First, flax, jute, rami fibers we are calling as soft fibers. Manila hemp fibers we are calling as hard fibers. What is the difference between soft fibers and hard fibers? Means in soft fibers, the fiber cell wall is made up of cellulose, but coming to the hard fibers, the fiber cell wall is made up of lignin. That is a major difference between soft fibers and hard fibers. Okay, and the next tissue is complex tissue. Complex tissue means in this tissue cells are from different origin, and they work as a same functional unit. Those cells together we are calling as a complex tissue. In plants, xylem, phloem together we are calling as a complex tissue, and the xylem and phloem together they form a stele, which is very important for translocation of minerals, nutrients and organic solutes. First I will explain this xylem. Xylem, first time it is reported in Pteridophyta members, and with the progress of evolution, based on the xylem only, plants are classified into atracheophytes and tracheophytes. In atracheophytes, xylem is absent, and tracheophytes, xylem is present. Okay, and this xylem, it is in two types, primary xylem and secondary xylem. When plants are young stage, they contain only primary xylem. Okay, and what is the function of the primary xylem? Means it is participating in transportation of minerals and nutrients. Coming to the secondary xylem, when the plants are matured, the secondary xylem is present. It is not only participating in transportation of minerals and nutrients. It is also provide mechanical strength. This secondary xylem we are calling as wood. This wood have lot of economic importance value because this wood is using in timber industry and also paper industry like that. Okay, and the xylem is made up of xylem elements. And the first element is xylem fibers. The fibers which are present in xylem, that fibers we are calling as xylem fibers. Okay, and these xylem fibers are showing variation in cell wall thickening and type of pits which are present on that cell wall. Next, coming to the xylem parenchyma. Xylem parenchyma, it is a living tissue. All xylem elements are dead tissue except xylem parenchyma. It is a living tissue. And the xylem parenchyma stores different type of materials like lignins, tannins, resins like that. And the xylem parenchyma arranged horizontally or parallel to the vertical axis. Next, coming to the trachy elements. These trachy elements are very important for translocation of water from root tip to the shoot tip. And the trachy elements are two types. First one is tracheids. It is a basic cell type, and these tracheids are they contain very thick cell wall which is made up of lignin. On that cell wall they contain border pits. In this picture you can see the border pits on the cell wall, and these tracheids are present in pteridophyta members and gymnosperms. Even angiosperm xylem is also made up of tracheids. Next, coming to the vessel. Vessel is a compound structure. Why it is a compound structure means vessels are made up of vessel elements. Okay, these vessel elements, they are arranged one above the other and form a tube like structure. This is calling as a vessel. In between vessel elements you can see the perforation plate. You can see the perforation plate. Okay, with this perforation plate only water can easily transport from one vessel element to the other vessel element without any destruction. What is this perforation plate means? This perforation plate contain pores. So that's why we are calling as a perforation plate. Based on the number of pores which are present on this perforation plate, again this perforation plate is divided into two types. If it is contain only one pore, that perforation plate we are calling as simple perforation plate. That perforation plate we are calling as simple perforation plate. If it is contain more than one pore, that perforation plate we are calling as compound perforation plate. Compound perforation plate. And presence of simple perforation is the advanced character. Okay, in this picture you can see the vessel structure, and these vessel elements are arranged one above the other. In between two vessel elements you can see the perforation plate. It is a simple perforation because it's contain only one pore, and cell wall is very thick because this cell wall is deposited by lignin, and lignin is deposition is in different forms. Either it may be spiral form, reticulate form, annular form. There are different type of lignin depositions are there, but in this picture you can see the reticulate thickenings of the lignin. Okay, and these vessels are present in only in angiosperms, and these are absent in pteridophyta and gymnosperms. But some pteridophyta members like Selaginella, Marsilia, Equisetum, and some gymnosperms plants like Epidra, Netum, Wilwichia, in that plant species they contain vessels. Okay, this is about the trachy elements. And the next is phloem. What is the main photosynthetic organ in plants? Leaf only. These leaves participating in photosynthesis, and they synthesize different type of food materials. After synthesize these food materials, they should transport to other parts of the plant. Okay, and this function takes place through phloem only, and this phloem is made up of phloem elements. In this slide you can see the different type of phloem elements. There are four type of phloem elements are there. First one is sieve elements, and what are the characters of these sieve elements means these contain sieve areas on their cell wall and the disappearance of the nucleus. These are the important characters of the sieve elements, and these sieve elements are divided into sieve cells and sieve tube. Sieve cells are present in only primitive members. They are very elongated in structure, and these sieve cells are connected with each other with the help of plasmodesmata. Next, coming to the sieve tube. Like vessels only, sieve tube also a compound structure, because these sieve tubes are formed by the sieve tube elements. These sieve tube elements, they are arranged one above the other and form a sieve tube. In between two sieve tube elements, you can see the sieve plate. You can see the sieve plate. So, with through this sieve plate only, the organic solutes they can easily transport from one sieve tube element to the other sieve tube element. And this sieve plate contains sieve areas. What is the meaning of a sieve area? Means a area which is contain pores. That pores we are calling as a sieve area. If it is contain only one sieve area, that sieve plate we are calling as a simple sieve plate. Simple sieve plate. If it is contain more than one sieve area, that sieve plate we are calling as compound sieve plate. Compound sieve plate. Okay, this is the difference between simple and compound sieve plate. Okay, next coming to the companion cells. Companion cells means always, these companion cells are always associated with the sieve tube only, because both are developed from the same mother cell. So, that is why we are not separating these companion cells from the sieve tube. And these companion cells, they contain prominent nucleus with dense protoplasm. Okay. And these companion cells are absent in gymnosperms. Instead of companion cells, they contain albuminous cells. Gymnosperms contain the albuminous cells. Okay. Next one is phloem parenchyma. Like xylem parenchyma, only phloem parenchyma is also stores different type of materials like tannins, resins and gums. This phloem parenchyma also, it is arranged horizontally or parallel to the vertical axis. Next, coming to the fibers. Fibers which are present in phloem region, that fibers we are calling as phloem fibers or bast fibers, and these fibers provide mechanical strength, and these fibers have a lot of economic importance, value. Already we have discussed all those things. Next one is, till now I have discussed all the tissues which are present in plants. Now it's time for activity. What you are seeing in this slide? Yes, it is a Cinnamon geylanicum, commonly called as dalchin chekka. And this Cinnamon geylanicum we are using as a spices because of its taste, fragrance and flavor. So, take a piece of bark of this Cinnamon geylanicum and make it powder. Take a pinch of powder on a slide. Add 2-3 drops of 70% glycerin. Spread that powder on a slide. Put cover slip and observe under microscope which type of sclerites are present in that powder. Because already we have discussed different type of sclerites based on their size, shape, structure, like brachysclerites, trichosclerites, filiform sclerites, like that. So, based on that shape, identify which type of sclerites are present in Cinnamon geylanicum powder. And also compare this powder, the powder which is available in market. Okay, because nowadays there are so many powders are available in market, but we don't know whether they are prepared from the correct material or not, because they are maybe adulterated with some other material which is available very cheap. Generally, this Cinnamon geylanicum is adulterated with Cinnamon cassia, commonly called as China cassia or China cinnamon. We should not consume more amount of this powder because it contains blood thinner components which cause liver damage. Then how we are going to differentiate these two powders means based on the tissue's character. For example, if you take sclerites, sclerites are very small in size in Cinnamon geylanicum, but they are very large in Cinnamon cassia. And the next one is pericyclic fibers. Pericyclic fibers are present in Cinnamon geylanicum and these are absent in Cinnamon cassia. Okay, like that, if you take another example, like number of oil cells. Number of oil cells are more in Cinnamon geylanicum and these are very less in Cinnamon cassia. Means based on these characters we can easily identify whether it is a correct cinnamon powder or not. Okay, and finally, plant tissues are very important and play very important role for identification of the correct plant material. With this, I am conclude my session. Thank you.